Hello everybody, this is gamer tag your Willy for another tutorial. Now it's been quite a while since I've done one because I've been busy with college, but now that I'm free I'm actually able to produce a tutorial for you guys. And hey, look at that, it's Invasion. It's amazingly awesome because I'm finally doing the Invasion tutorial. Now if you guys are new to forging, or you don't know the basics of foraging or the basics of like setting up Slayer game types or capture the flag or assault, watch my earlier tutorials first, because that will give you a good foundation on how to set up Invasion, because Invasion in my opinion is one of the most complex game types to set up in Halo Reach. It has the most that you need to do to get it to work, the most that you need to add into it. So definitely watch those first because they will definitely help you out in understanding what I'm talking about in this tutorial, because I'm going to go relatively fast over some subjects because I'm assuming that you already know those basics. And if I go over your head when I'm mentioning something about assault or capture the flag, watch my assault and capture the flag tutorials because I'll probably cover it there in more detail. Now let's go ahead and get this tutorial started because I want to break this up into pieces so that, you know, the tutorial is not extremely long. So I'm going to try and keep it around 10 minutes per part. So I'm in a blank field, and that's because I didn't want to make a map for Invasion. I just want to show you the different principles on what you need to set it up, and then maybe at the very end of the tutorial I might show you how I would set up a mock one on my fort map. Now in this map the only thing I have right now is a initiation and a respawn point. These are only there because I'm setting it up and building, and in case I die I need to respawn. When you're actually making your final map, you need to remove all respawn points, and the reason why is you don't use these at all in Invasion, and I'll explain to you why later on when I talk about setting up the individual phases for spawning and respawning and zones and all that stuff. So only put one of these on your map at least, just in case you die. You won't respawn like way out there because, you know, that would be annoying. So definitely put at least one on your map and remember to remove it when you're done. Or even better yet, you could even set it up to be like green team and make your team green because you don't use green team in Invasion. Now in Invasion there's 3 phases. Each phase can be one of 3 objectives. It can either be territories, assault, or capture the flag. And you can make it so that each phase is assault, or each phase is territory, or each phase is capture the flag, or a mix of any combination of that. So I'm going to tell you step by step how to set up each one, because for this Invasion that I'm making, quote unquote, the first phase is territories, the second is assault, and the third is capture the flag. So let's go ahead and set up the first phase. Now you usually want to do this after you have built your map, because then you know exactly where the phases and the pieces are going. So build your map completely first before you actually set up the game type for it. Now territories, all you need is a hill marker, and it can be any size that you want, box, round, depending on what you're trying to set up. If you're setting it up next to a wall or in a hallway, you probably want a box. If you're setting it on top of something, maybe you want a circle. But set it up accurately to what you want your map, or what you want the area of your game to work. The only thing that you need to set up for is a label and a spawn sequence. Now I'll go over spawn sequence first. There's 3 phases, 1, 2, and 3. And so you set up the spawn sequence in conjunction to what phase you're setting it up. So right now I'm setting up the first phase to be territory, so I set the spawn sequence to be 1 because that's the first phase. Down here for game label, you want it to be invasion objective. Now that means that whatever your objective is for that phase, that's what that object is for, because you can set it up to be capture the flag and assault as well, and I'll show you why, or what a little bit more about that when I set up those two. But for this one you need it to be objective and spawn sequence 1. That's all you need. You got a territory. Awesome. So if you're setting up a map that all 3 phases are territory, all you need to do is make phase 2 for your second territory, phase 3 for your third territory, and your map is complete. Now you can set up to preferably 2 different territories per phase. Now the reason why I say preferably is because you can set up more, but for some reason Reach, when they designed the audio files for it, they only gave you Alpha under attack and Bravo under attack. They didn't give you Charlie, Echo, or any of those. So if you set up a third one, whichever one the game decides is Charlie, which I believe is either the first or the last one you set up. I can't remember at the moment which it is, but it's one or the other usually. It's the silent one. So for my invasion map, Fort Stanwix Invasion, I've got 3 territories, and the front one is silent. So if somebody's capturing that point, it doesn't set off an alarm because they don't have an audio file for Charlie under attack. So keep that in mind when you set up territories for your map, or any of the territories, because that works for assault and capture the flag. Though capture the flag, you usually have just one core, one flag, but for assault you can have multiple points just like territories. So keep that in mind when you set that up, that you want to keep it at 2. You can set up 3, but the third one is going to be silent. Now that we set up the first phase, let's set up the second phase. Well, the second phase for my game type is going to be assault, which is bomb. So you want to set up a place for the bomb. Now it's best to set it up as a capture place, as that looks the best. Everyone recognizes that bombs are on capture plates. So I set up a capture plate here, and this is where I want my bomb to be. Whoop, it got stuck underneath the ground there. This is where I want my bomb to be, and this is where I want my bomb to go. I know, extremely long distance. These people are going to be running a marathon for this game. But I set up the 2 plates just so I know where they're going to be. Now for the first plate, what do we need to do here? Set it up to sequence 2 because it's the second phase now. And for game label, we want it to be objective or objective flag, depending on what we're doing with it. For this one, because this is where I want the bomb to be, I set it up to be objective flag. This one, because this is where I want the bomb to go, I set it up as objective. Now see what I was talking about earlier about objective, because these are also objective. And so if you wanted to set up a game where it worked for multiple game types, be aware that if you set up an assault so that, you know, this is the objective and this is where the bomb goes, if somebody is using a different invasion game type and their second phase is territory instead of assault, this is going to act like a territory area instead of a bomb plate. So you got to make sure that they're playing with your game type, or you set it up to, or you make sure that they download your game type. Just be aware of that. If you're trying to set it up for multiple game types, that will happen. That's all you need. Obviously I forgot to set this up to sequence 2, but just make sure both of those are sequence 2 and it's an invasion objective. Now for bombs, you can set up multiple or 2 different capture plates as well, just like you can with territories. You just got to make sure that both of these are objective and spawn sequence 2, and that way this person can bring this bomb to either point A or point B, and it will tell them Alpha or Bravo under attack, just like it does with the territories. Now that we got the first phase and the second phase set up, I'm going to go ahead and set up the third phase, and then I'm going to cut it off and we'll do the rest of the tutorial on part 2. So let's set up the capture the flag. Now capture the flag, you can set it up either using a bomb plate like this, or you can use a flag stand if you want. It doesn't really matter too much because this is basically where the flag is going to appear. So for me, I'm just going to go ahead and use the plate. Make sure it's spawn sequence 3, and you set it up to be invasion objective flag, just like you did with the assault. And for a capture plate, you usually want to set up just one capture plate, just like you have a home plate where your home base is and a flag that you're trying to get. That's usually the standard for it, and that's really all you need to do to set up the capture the flag. Very simple. You just gotta remember that each one is set up a little bit differently, and you gotta remember to set up the sequence, because sometimes even I forget to set up the sequence and I play it, I'm like, why is it not working for this phase? Well, that's probably why. So we got our 3 phases set up, so this is going to be the end of part 1. I shall see you all when I do part